And we already have been doing this, right? And I think it's like the digital world, like, and the pandemic got us like, okay, everything can be online. But now I think the reality hit is that we probably just need to go back to how things used to be run, where we build relationship with people, we collaborate, we partnership. That's how we run business, right? I think just it has a comfort to see that, oh, it's nothing new and scary. You just need to be real and get back to what people used to do. Yeah.
Welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast, where genius is celebrated, joy is the catalyst, and we learn most deeply by teaching what lights us up. I'm Portia Osumaré, executive learning producer, curriculum designer, and former high school math teacher, and lover of all things wisdom.
And I'm Portia Michele Osumaré, client experience designer, business coach, joy strategist, and a lifelong learner of the sacred and the strategic. Together, we're excavating wisdom from our brightest and most brilliant friends and partners, gaining insight that transform how we learn and how we teach in today's world.
So join us as we offer insights, community wisdom, and unique perspectives on experiential learning. So welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Osumaré Learning Podcast, State of the Season series? Season? I don't really know how we're calling this. The State of the Season, State of the Year conversation, actually. So we're in 2026, and I have gathered all of my peoples together for y'all yet again to have a conversation around each one of our areas of business from the people that I look to support my own business in this conversation and the folks who are supporting our clients inside of our Business Cousins community around this conversation. And here we've arrived at marketing. So this is the marketing area of business and how I like to name this conversation around marketing. Marketing is the area of business where people find out who you are and what you do, and it really is as simple as that. There are so many ways to market your business. There are so many trends that happen in marketing. It's not all social media. It's not all word of mouth. There's so many different options that folks can have for making sure that people find out about the magic that it is that they do. But every single one of us as business owners has to think about how we go about making sure that people find out about the magic that it is that we do. And this squad that we've gathered together are a portion of our marketing support squad. So today we've got with us Michelle Wilmoth, Nicole Aquila, and Kung Pik Liu, aka Pik, is going to be here with us today. I would love for you all to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then I will get into the topic. Why don't we start with you, Michelle? Michelle, tell us a little bit about who you are.
My name is Michelle Wilmoth, and I own Roar PR Group. And after 26 years of being in the public relations and communication space, I decided to start doing some stuff on my own as well as full-time work. So I love communications. I love writing. I love introducing cool people to cool people. That's kind of, as Portia knows, my strong suit. So I'm here to answer any kind of PR questions and talk about what's potentially coming about for next year.
Love. Thank you so much, Michelle. I hope y'all heard. I feel like I pulled Michelle out of retirement. We pulled someone, you know what I mean, to come in to answer all these questions. And it's been so interesting in the last year, I think, of us being together, Michelle, of how many questions do come down to PR that we don't even necessarily know are. So Michelle is our person inside of our community that you come and ask all your PR questions. Moving over to you, Nicole, why don't you introduce yourself to us? Let us know a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. So I'm Nicole Aquila, and I own Thrive Differently. I am a self-declared chief movement officer because marketing just didn't sound right. And yeah, so I really help people with their brand personality and strategy around creating movements, aka through marketing. And it's all about driving really human connection in your story to the people who need to hear it most. I live in Nashville, and I'm just super stoked to be with these amazing humans on this call. And yeah, let's rock.
Amazing. Again, Nicole has been somebody that we literally, I feel like Nicole gets all the massive marketing questions. Every other call, I'm like, go ask Nicole because I don't know. Go ask Nicole. I don't know. Nicole you've been such a breath of fresh air inside of our support squad community because what you do is so comprehensive. And I love that you've centered it around movement because I do think that so many of us don't look at it like that. And there is power in looking at it like that. Really, truly, like we said, there are so many different ways to market, quote unquote, your business, but looking at it like the long game of a movement really makes the difference and how you go about enrolling your community in that movement. More to come, I am sure, with that when we get to the portion of Nicole letting us know what you see for 2026. But rounding us out, Pik, will you let us know who you are, what you do, and tell us about you as well?
Sure. Well, everybody call me Pik. My full name is Kung Pik Liu. I am in California, Southern California, shiny, shining. What I do, I run a small branding and design agency called Design Angel. We actually specialize in helping women entrepreneurs to turn their expertise into premium brands in just 12 days. My mission is really to help women entrepreneurs to be seen, heard, and shine through branding because I think a lot of women I met, they're underfunded, they are not taken seriously. And I thought it was just stories, just extreme story, but I think throughout the past 3-4 years, I've met enough founders and entrepreneurs and told me stories, and I realized this is real. And so make my mission even more strong. It's like I need to help more women to clarify their brand because perception is everything. If we can change the perception, they can get more opportunities as well. So that's what I am.
I love it. Like, again, perception angel, the pretty angel. I literally am like, it makes things pretty. I understand how they need to function. I have no idea why they need to look the way that they need to look, why it matters, how that piece. I am that female founder that's sitting in that same spot. So Pik, I love so much. Welcome again. Thank you so much for being with us. Newly on squad. Y'all see, in our Business Cousins community, I try to put together hand-picked experts that I have watched make magic with other entrepreneurs that I want to be able for you to come and be able to ask some questions about these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into 2026. We're going to each talk about some of the trends that we're seeing when it comes to marketing. We're going to talk about some things that we think are important for you all to be thinking about, maybe even some things to do, some things to stop, some things to really prepare you for a really solid and gorgeous year ahead. And part of the reason why this year is so special is because in so many ways, 2025 shed a reality for a lot of entrepreneurs, and particularly also the way that you market your business likely is not the same way this January as it will be from the last January. So much has changed. The landscape has changed. Algorithms are different. So platforms are different. And so we really wanted to arm everybody with the information this year because it feels like this is going to be a year that we're putting down a lot of seeds for the next decade to come. So as we get into this conversation, we'll all go around and tell you some things that we want you to be thinking through and some things that we think that will prepare you for a good year of marketing inside of your business. Because I can promise you, like I said earlier, entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to market your business. If you don't market it, nobody knows what magic that is that you do. So this is something that we want you to lean into. We want you to think about. I would get your notes and your pen and your paper out because this is probably going to be one that you want to take notes on. Don't say I didn't warn you. I told you at the beginning. I always forget to tell the people until the end. I told y'all at the beginning. You're welcome. We're getting better. So I'm going to start us off in conversation. And I'm actually going to start us off, Pik, with you. In the world of graphic design, because as a graphic designer, right, as somebody that is sitting in the place of doing the expert work of really understanding, what that perception is and how powerful it is for brands, tell me a little bit about how AI is affecting that area. And so many of us are like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about this. I'm just going to have my AI do this in Canva. And then we're wondering when we have results that look like we had our AI do this in Canva, what happened? So tell me a little bit about what are some of the ways in which you're seeing AI has affected graphic design in general and some of the things that are working and some of the things that don't seem to be working in that space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, AI is definitely taking over, especially the past few months. It's just crazy. People worry. I have colleagues, they just all of a sudden, this is kind of dead because companies just stop hiring or they think AI, some of my clients, they are thinking about let's not hire people. Let's not hire designer or other consultant. And let's think about how AI can replace all of them, and so that we can save a bunch of money. And the reality is, I keep a close eye on what AI can do. And so far, it's not there yet. My thought is that if you want to test it out, you probably waste time and resources for like 3 to 6 months and then come back. We need you. That's probably the result.
Yep.
So what I see is they can do a lot. AI can do a lot, but it's more of acceleration of what you can do. Than replacement, because actually what I see is that brand needs to be more human. Design needs to stand out more because it's so easy to generate good design. So what's next when everybody can have good design? The next thing is really understand your brand, what you stand for, what you want to say. How do you behave as a human so you can be more human in the digital world? And then from there, you can direct AI to help you produce things that is uniquely to you and more meaningful and more human. I think we cannot think of like AI as a design tool that replace designer, but it's just a way to accelerate the way you can produce design asset. I think you need to, the time that you have left should really have designer or strategists to really think about how are the ways we as a brand can become more human. How can we connect people better with audiences? What kind of language we should use? How should we look different from all this good design that AI created, right? And that's much more important. You spend the time over there to be more human. I think that's really the key thing I see next year, how what designer, even small businesses should be. Don't chase like a big brand that thinking that they can replace everybody with AI because they can produce so well. We small brand actually should leverage our advantage of not being able to spend so much money, and not like big brand that they can just create something and spread it out to thousands of people. We maybe just focus on touching 10 people in person in real time at a time. That may be our advantage as well. So that's something that we have to think about.
Love. And I think that it's so interesting. Earlier in this week, we did a podcast recording with my coach, Clarinda Tivoli, and she really has this really gorgeous way of going about decolonized marketing, really. And one of the things that she said was really speaking to that of like, when people get caught in the trends, there's no sustainability in that. And I think that what's interesting, what you're saying about AI is that like the AI can only replicate what it's seen. And so it's going to give, and if you bank all of this money and all this effort on like, oh yeah, I'm going to replace all of these experts and just get AI, that's a big risk. You know what I mean? Because it is a trend, and like anything else, you get a brand new iPhone, people forget that this is still tech. Not enough people have worked in tech companies to know that there's version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and bugs at every area along the line. Like, banking on that, I don't necessarily think it is the smartest for every entrepreneur to do. When it comes to that pick also, I'm interested in your thoughts. When it comes to your overall brand and like the identity, I know one of the things that we were talking about before this call started was like, these people are like telling the AI how to even ask the questions to get the information. So you're having the AI create the AI, create the AI. What do you think that people need to do to be able to better use AI in creating the things that they are looking for? And how do you think that speaks to the brand identity piece?
You actually need to know yourself better than what the AI know yourself, right? In order to
Say
do
it
that,
again.
you just really need to sit down and think about what is your brand personality? If like I always tell clients, think of your brand as a person. It's just like a person. How would they act, look, and feel, right? What kind of behavior it will have? You're basically creating a character, right? But these are the things that AI cannot think for you. You have to discover it yourself. And very often you need unique strategists to kind of extract it from you, right? Once you have this good foundation, now you can use AI to amplify. Okay, this is what I am. I want to refine it more. Okay, that's fine. I want to use this tone and this personality, this look, and create more of that, similar things. That makes sense, right? So the main thing is know yourself better, know your brand better, spend time on that first before you even touch AI. That's the key, I think. Yeah.
Love. And I think that you said something so powerful there and before of like AI is going to be pumping out a lot of really great design. One of the only thing that's going to really differentiate you is one, if you've got some expertise around how your design needs to look for you, like a fingerprint. It's unique to you. The great thing about it is that there's only one of you. And if you can be so radically yourself, then there's very little competition. But if you're just regurgitating what everybody else is regurgitating, you may get lost in the sauce also. I kind of heard that around what it is that you said, Pick, and I think that that's so important to do the internal work of knowing yourself. The last question I'll ask you is, where do you think that people really should start, right? Before they sit down in Canva to go, I need a logo, or I'm getting ready to redesign my website. Like, what are some of the conversations that they should be having with themselves before they even start to pick a visual application for their brand?
Know yourself, right? So ask questions. So like old days, you basically need to have a good design brief. Even better this time. Nowadays, you even need a better design brief. Like this easiest thing is to, what is the personality of the brand? That really the key if you purely looking at visual identity, right? And marketing assets. Really think about, if you say, oh, we are innovative, you have to define what this innovative means. Can you even see what it is? Because you cannot just put in, I want my brand to be innovative. Show me some innovative design elements that we will use, that fits our brand. It's not like that. You need to go look, define what innovative is, look outside and describe it better. Maybe have some even visual too, so that AI can understand when you say innovative, that means this kind of graphic, right? So for me, like the most basic thing is at least define your brand personality in a sense that not only with words, but with some kind of visual reference, so that AI can continue to help me dig deeper and develop other visual identity. Yeah, that will be my biggest tip. Yeah.
Love and brilliant. Again, y'all see why I be having Pick around me. And I know you're going, I don't know how to do that. Great. Bring your little self to office hours and ask Pick directly. Can make it specific for you. But I think that, again, so brilliant, Pick. And I think that, I'm still kind of sitting with this thought process that in general, the truth is you kind of need to get better if you plan out standing out from the crowd, because everybody, we're seeing this like inundation of being oversold, over communicated to, or almost over designed, right? Like people are, going because they can get 500,000 graphics and 700, little mini videos inside of ChatGPT, but is more better? Is it more effective? Is it actually scratching the itch? I think these are the things that, as I'm sitting with this Pick, like the things that are reflecting to me is like, can you use your authenticity to guide letting AI be what it's meant to be, which is a tool and not a replacement for human innovation? Because at the end of the day, the AI literally can only repeat what it's seen. Most of us are creating stuff that is unseen. We're building the plane while we're on it. We don't even have the bricks underneath our feet as we're moving yet, right? How is the AI going to be in step with you if you haven't even done that work? And something else that was a big reflection to me, Pick, in this is that, like, not only do we need to know ourselves, but we need to know our people. Who are you serving and what do they need to hear in the language that they need to hear it? Because it feels like, we can kind of be in this like weird little circle jerk of like thinking it's all about you and not necessarily like looking at what it actually is for the other people. I'm interested, Nicole, I'll throw to you. Any reflections from what Pick said or anything that's still sparking with you around that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Pick, you're a genius. Just love hearing you talk. One of the things that just came to my mind is like, if you do not have an artistic brain, you will not create an artistic thing that's going to represent you. Like, because the inputs are just as important. And you need someone to get into your brain and ask these questions that make no sense whatsoever to design your brand. Because you're just thinking of like, oh, I want to be a brand that's innovative. That is so boring. I mean, if one more team's core value is innovative, right? Like, come on. We're genuine, innovative, integrity. Gosh,
what does that even mean? Like, what does it even mean?
And that's the problem, is that when you're filling ChatGPT with every time somebody puts something into ChatGPT, it's learning and it's regurgitating. So the more generic you are, the more generic your image is going to be. That was one thing that came to my mind. So let the artist like pick, stay the artist. That's number one. I think the other thing is that you were talking about being more human in the digital world. I know, we all know it is very difficult for us to think of ourselves in how are we actually perceived in the human world, right? How we each interact with each other. How do we show up on screen? Those are the things that you're never going to have if you're just talking to AI by yourself. And that's why you hire the professionals to do it. Because when you create a bunch of people who are looking at you from different angles, and then they're saying, oh, hey, this is actually a brand personality, I would say most people can't decide their brand personality. Because what's happening is they're saying, hey, let's go be like Coca-Cola. Or let's go be... No, it's not just about what your astro sign is, but I do think that's hugely important. It's about what happened to you before now. Because the people you're serving are most likely the people who went through something you went through 3 years ago. And we're not talking about how do we bring out the essence of us, because I think story is going to be huge. And then how you take it and put it in design, that's going to move mountains.
Ooh, design as story just broke my brain. Because it is another way of telling the story. And I think that you are so right. Like, most of us, our creativity is not there. And I don't see a world where we're replacing graphic designers because the AI is good, but it ain't that damn good.
It's recognizable. It's all recognizable. You know, the AI images are recognizable. The hyphens when you do ChatGPT are recognizable. The emojis. I'm going to say one last thing. I will say in the world of AI, and I'm always watching commercials and saying, oh, who's doing it right? Who's doing it wrong? Amazon has every tool accessible to them. You would think they could roll out some crazy AI. Like, one of the best commercials I saw were 3 older women sledding down. I don't know if you've seen it. Sledding down. They were watching all these kids sledding. And then one woman bought a sled with butt pads so that her 2 other elderly friends could slide down the same hill. I'm like, you nailed it. Human emotion and creating it in such a way that's artistic and actually meaningful is the future. I don't want to continue to give money to Amazon, but I'm sorry, after that commercial, man, that's really good. And it got my heart. Now I really want to support you again.
That's so interesting. And such a good point where human emotion isn't going anywhere. You know what I mean? We're not turning into robots. So if you're planning on having actual humans pay for things, you may want to speak to actual humans. Very interesting point. Michelle, I'm going to throw to you. Any reflections on what Pik and Nicole have said so far?
First of all, I love that commercial. It gets me every single time because I'm like, you're also catering to a market that probably feels underrepresented, you know, like an 80-year-old woman of like, you're going to see a commercial being like, oh, this was made for me, right? My overwhelming thoughts is that, you know, it centers around perception, right? That people can see what an AI message from a mile away at this point. They know what's authentic and what's inauthentic. And let's face it, Chat GPT and the like, they don't have a lot of authenticity. So and as we've talked about, that it's still in its infancy, you know, and there's a lot that AI honestly can't do. I mean, if I'm stuck on something, I will try and like throw it into AI to get ideas, and they'll spit something out. I'll take it, and then I will go through everything and correct it, make it more human, talk like a real person, you know, kind of hit those touch points. And then I get to the point now where I put it back into my Chat GPT and say, this is what you gave, you know what you gave me. This is how I fixed it. Because it's consistently learning. And so I figure, like, you know, we can't fight it, right? That we have to try and work with it. But in doing so, we can try and teach it. So at least us as a user can, you know, can really benefit from it. The other thing, you know, and I'll touch on this too, the other thing that AI completely sucks at is any kind of relationships. I mean, like, let's be real. I mean, as a publicist, I can pick up the phone and send someone a text and try and get, a news segment booked. Whereas, honestly, and I actually just tried this a couple weeks ago, I asked AI to spit me out a media list, and it was like the most generic and, quite honestly, dated. They couldn't even discern what email format they used at the company. It was a bunch of hot garbage is what it was. But, so there's certain things that AI won't be able to do ever, especially in like the communication and PR world. It just, even the press releases, you cannot tell me that there's a journalist who cannot like spot an AI press release.
And I imagine that says something about you before you've opened the door. We're spending all this time, effort, and energy making sure that your branding looks great, that your logo is aligned, that your messaging makes sense. But then you do something that breaks the covenant of a relationship. And so much of that work goes down the drain because of where you've placed AI. Michelle, that there's a word there of like knowing when to use it, where to use it, and how, and when it's going to be a benefit to you and when it's going to be a hindrance. Something so interesting also, Michelle, that I feel like you said in that is the idea of really, again, speaking to kind of what Nicole and Pik said as well, of like, you still need expertise. I don't care how good the email is that AI writes for you. When you get on a phone call with an actual human, you need to know how to be able to forward that relationship, right? I don't care how decent of a press release thing is or how much the AI makes you sound like an expert. One, if you're not one, eventually you will be found out. Before something just fell. But for every person who is hearing me at the other end of my voice, understand that if you are choosing to outsource your expertise to the AI, we're going to find out. We're going to know. And if you are allowing yourself to use generalizations in the area of your business where you really do need expertise, you're going to struggle. And I think that that's something that I really want to make sure that we iron home on. But Michelle, I will kick it to you next. Give me an idea from the PR side. What is it that you're seeing as trends as we're moving into 2026, particularly as the world of media is getting really unique and different, right? And it's like every lane is getting different. What are the things that you're seeing that help us to be able to rise above that or be in relationship with it? Tell me what you're seeing for 26.
Well, and I think like going back to it, I think AI it's a good tool to have in your toolbox, right? But I was a huge AI resistor. So the fact that I even use it is coming around because marketing, and to Pik's point, marketing in and of itself is a highly creative field. It's not, it's not tech where you're just like pounding out numbers and doing spreadsheets. Like you have to think on your feet. You have to pivot. You have to be creative. You have to get attention. And all of that, I feel that at this juncture, guys is struggling with because, you got to crawl before you walk, even when you're a bot. So it's just one of those things that there's going to be a pretty significant learning curve. And quite honestly, the second it takes away from creative jobs, I'll be out. Like I'm like not like out of business, out in terms of my support of AI. I just, if it takes away creativity, that's why I'm in marketing and PR. So, but to that point, like I was saying that, people can spot AI content. And I think, from a communications and, it's covers a lot of things with communications, covers public relations. It covers, what your e-blast is going to look like, what your social media can look like, all of that. It's just a fancy way of saying like what words you put out. But, we've made some leaps and bounds in terms of like the personalization aspect. But now even the personalization aspect is getting cold. In 20, I almost said 2016. In 2026, it's about the tailoring of the messages to really be human again. Like people are aren't stupid. They can figure out an algorithm. They can figure out like batched verbiage. If you're getting something, I don't care if it's an email or, like a text message from a business, like we all know what's real and what's not. So I think, we really need to double down on being real. And, that's going to be the ultimate differentiator. I cannot speak today. That when you can connect, whether it's to Pick's point, like giving back, that's shared values, any kind of meaningful dialogue, any like emotion. AI doesn't do emotion. I mean, maybe it will one day, but, not today. So it's like you want to tailor all of your messaging to really hit individual preferences and behaviors. And,
Love.
and also like, especially PR, like you can't fake the relationships that you have with people. You just can't. So I think that is going, PR will always be needed. Is it going to change? Absolutely. Like we all know that everything's changing daily, but at the end of the day, you need to hone in on all of the relationships that you have.
Ooh, that's such a word. And there's something so loud to me about that as I look at what trends are happening. Like we're seeing behind the curtain around how a lot of corporations are moving. We're seeing and we're having less and less trust for things that feel big. And the big are starting to sound more AI. They're sounding more general because they have so many people to be able to speak to. And so for a lot of us that are small and going after niche markets and talking directly to certain groups of people, the more that you sound like the establishment, the more you're going to struggle. Just across the board. I can hear in what you're saying. And this goes back to the idea of expertise as well, Michelle, is like, I think about the fact that, to Nicole's point about pick, if your brain's not artistic, you're not going to think about things like that. If you've not
No.
spent 25 years making media relationships like Michelle has, they're likely less to answer your call than they are to answer hers. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how great your email is. Michelle knows their dog's name and why their kid went to college in Minnesota instead of Washington. You know what I mean? Michelle has done the sweat equity of allowing you to be able to borrow that trust when you work with a person like that. And there is no amount of fabricated expertise that is going to make up for the real relationship element. Is there anything else that you're seeing, Michelle, as we kind of round us out for 2026 that you want to speak to?
Yeah. So, that on the flip side, because we do understand that AI is, a necessary evolution. A lot has been focused on writing for AI, something that's called GEO, or generative engine optimization. So it works in tandem with SEO, but it really focuses on, not necessarily like your website stats as much as it does how you appear if someone does ask an AI question. Prime example of this is, I honestly don't know when it changed. I just kind of saw that it did one day. But, if you Google something, it will now give that AI overview before you even get to your search results. So people are talking a lot about what's called a zero-click search. So your search engine optimization can be all there, but if you don't combine GEO, then that first block where you see the AI text is not going to match, and they're not even going to find your website, right? So you have to work really in tandem. That, it's the website traffic of, 10 years ago, and that measurement tool is probably going to be diminished in terms of the next, like, say 10 years or whatever, because of AI and the zero click searches. However, the fun side of that is when you do get that web click through, it's that more meaningful, because it's like they saw the AI response, they still had questions, they wanted to know how to, say, get involved further or purchase this or purchase that. So it's almost like the AI is pre-qualifying your leads at the end of the day, if you want to think about it that way. So like what I'm trying to do now for clients is really write for AI, in terms of, all of that optimization. Like when someone Googles my client, they get that synopsis and then they probably still want more information, right? So it's like, you're looking for like clear headlines and sub headlines. As much as that pains me because I love a creative headline for a press release, and I often will do it based on song lyrics, that's probably not going to be good for me in the future if I'm making an effort to write for AI. Any kind of bulleted lists, FAQs, like, you want to keep very succinct paragraphs that have the right information that doesn't bog that aspect down. One of the biggest things that that we were talking about is being an expert, right? And positioning yourself as the expert in X, Y, and Z. That is going to be huge. Also, like, summarize takeaways, like any kind of sources that you have. But the big one, and I think this is where like all of us on this podcast can kind of work together and in tandem, is that if you have multimedia content, like videos, audio, even infographics, anything that, extends your visibility across various AI platforms. Like even Gemini now is citing YouTube. So like to have those things all in place, and just honestly, you don't have to be perfect at it in the beginning. Like, it's all a learning curve. Like this is one thing that is cool about AI, especially as it pertains to business, is it levels the playing field a bit. So even like the Coca-Colas, and say like you have a functional beverage, like we're all just kind of figuring it out, right? There's not a ton of experts. So there's a lot of room for, for how your business is going to perform in AI. And I think that if you can get ahead of that now, you won't be playing catch up like a lot of people will.
The Osumaré Learning Podcast is brought to you by two sponsors that are near and dear to our hearts, because we built them. First up, Business Cousins. Business Cousins is a collective of called to serve leaders who are building businesses that create impact that actually matters. We're about doing real good in the world, giving people the results they paid for, and having a damn good time doing it. If you're into running a business that you actually love, hanging out with smart and soulful folks while you do it, and being supported every step of the way, this may be the room for you. We host gatherings, workshops, and offer ongoing business development support that's as human as it is helpful. If you're interested, apply today at thebusinesscousin.com. Check us out at www.thebusinesscousin.com. And then there's the Author's Leverage. That's our studio for turning your body of work into powerful learning tools. Whether it's digital workbooks, private podcasts, or binge-worthy education content that helps you scale your impact without burning out, we specialize in transforming complex ideas into accessible, engaging learning experiences that your audience will actually use and implement. Our team of expert creators, instructional designers, and production specialists ensure that your wisdom reaches more people in the ways that truly resonate. If you're an expert, author, thought leader, sitting on brilliance, let us help you package it. Learn more at theauthorsleverage.com. That is theauthorsleverage.com. And I think that it also speaks to me so much about the relationship part that you have. The better relationship you have with the people that you're wanting to work with and for, and the more that you know about what they need to know, how for you to structure it, the more thought leadership that you put out, the easier it is for when AI searchable finds you as an expert, because there's a lot there, right? When this ain't the year to become the best kept secret, right? This is the year if you want to be searchable in comparison to everybody else, you kind of have to have that stuff out there. And I love that you said that there is a bit of an even playing field, because I do think that Coca-Cola can't know their audience better than you if their audience is hundreds of millions of people and your audience is 5,000. right? How much more can you focus on the 5,000 and nail
Yeah.
that? Because you may be able to compete with Coca-Cola at that level because the level has been
Yeah.
a little bit leveled.
It gives us all like a great start and great ideas. What I fear is that, a lot of people won't understand it and
Yeah.
will automatically kind of just brush it under the rug. Like, oh, I don't need AI or whatever. But the more it starts factoring in to how you're viewed in your communication style, like we were talking about before, and B, how it needs to work in tandem with SEO. It was a while before people really cared about SEO. They had to be told to care about that, so I
Yeah.
think the people that are not going to fare well are the people that just kind of poo-poo it.
Yep, I would agree. Pick, I'm going to pop to you. Any reflections on what Michelle said? Anything that's percolating for you over there?
I would love to learn some tips about how to write for AI. What does that mean? I think for many people, they probably don't know. And I was like, okay, exactly how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
I
that's
mean,
a really interesting point of like writing to be searched is it's a brand new concept.
yeah, a lot of it is authoritative content, that you want to appear confident and you want to appear trustworthy, which should be all of our goals at the end of the day, no matter what. Any kind of keyword placements, right? Statistics, like, I even say this in media training that when you go on TV, people love a number. People love a good number. Like if you can say 60% of X, Y, and Z, or 42% of this, like people grab onto that. So I think the more you can utilize that would help as well. Source citing, like I mentioned before. And then, one of the things that I've always done in press releases, or 90% of the time, I should say, is like doing quotations. So, Portia is talking about X, Y, and Z, and this is her news release. Well, let's have a quote from Portia, right? And so that helps. The big one is understandability. Like we don't want to be too jargony. Like you have to, I always say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you have to talk to your lowest common denominator. Like, fact of the matter is, people don't know what your business is about. So you need to school them on what it's about, but also not necessarily go, all the key buzzwords and stuff like that. You want people to be able to understand it. And also, like on the flip side, unique words. Like you can use unique words, but maybe not be jargony.
Makes sense.
Like I love one of the AI programs that I use is this thing called Grammarly, and it edits as you're writing. So I'm notorious for not putting commas where I need to, as it turns out. But one of the things that I love is that it gives you like a weekly summary, and I am so excited because I don't think I've dipped past or below 90% where it talks about my vocabulary, where it's like you have a better vocabulary and have better word usage than 98% of Grammarly users. I'm like, yes, I know I did.
And it's so interesting also because to get to Nicole's point, this is why experts, because I can tell you right now, I'm giving smarter than a fifth grader. I'm probably in the 50th percentile because, I'm out, and most of us are, especially as heart-centered entrepreneurs, as contribution-focused entrepreneurs, we're doing the thing. Our skill set may not be to talk about the thing, which is why you ask people who talk about the thing how you should talk about the thing. Absolutely love that. Nicole, I will also open for your general reflections, and then you can let us know what it is you're seeing for 26 also.
Can I say one thing really quick?
Please.
And I bet all of the people on this call could not do like what other people do. Like I can't do finances to save my life, but I'm not in the financial section. So like I can make things sound pretty. Sorry, Nicole.
Don't apologize. My mind's kind of blown right here. But I mean, I'm going to just shout out Business Cousins for real, support squad. Like, I'm just going to go right for it. You know what? Like, this is a no-brainer. Like, you have the support of humans because if you now, granted, the best for you is to create a package around all of us. But if you don't have that, talk to us. We're here for you. Like, for real. Because Michelle's talking about GEO. I'm doing SEO. I'm like, girl, we got to collab. Like, I talked to Pik and I'm like, we got to collab because I can write a brand story. But oh my gosh, the way that you create it in art is insane. And that's the thing is like, as entrepreneurs, I would say my big thing is like I'm mind blown by the two conversations, these amazing humans in this room. It's like, it takes a village. If you do not have the economics to support having a village, I'm sorry, I'm going to shout you out. Business Cousins is legit how you have to be. Because we could create a kick-ass group for you and your marketing be singing. I'll say movement because that's me. But it would be singing. Right? But if you don't have it, come pick our brains.
Man. Again, I like to tell people, I created for y'all to use. I sure hope you come and use it. Because I think, to your point also, Nicole, the idea that it takes all of us and the idea that we're all going to be experts in everything is crazy. I don't worry about being a marketing expert because I can come to Business Cousins and sit with my marketing experts and ask questions so that I can focus on being an offer expert because that's what I do. And I think that so many of us are trying to be the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And it's why we're exhausted, why we're burnt out, and why our stuff looks general because nobody is expecting you to be a corporation in one. That's not realistic. And the people who are trying to sell that to you have something to sell you and they want you to buy it. Absolutely love. Nicole, any other general reflections? And then I would love to hear kind of what you're seeing in regards to the SEO, the GEO, and make sure let's define some of those terms. Because people who don't know what SEO is, because I think that was something for a while. People would be like, you need to think about your SEO. And I'm like, I kind of know that means Google, but nothing else.
Yeah, so I will say, first of all, my mom was blown because I learned about GEO for the first time. But that's the whole point, right? That's why you have to talk to people in different industries, right? Yeah. So SEO is search engine optimization. So basically what happens is that Google crawls your site, and based on the type of words that you use, they figure out if it's relevant or not. And then that's how you could appear organically. There's another side of it. If you also use Google Ads, you can appear with paid ads. So there's two sides to it. Now, that's why I'm like, okay, Michelle, we got to talk after this call, because I think the powerhouse duo is if you can match SEO, GEO, and Google Ads, and you have a budget for it. And here's what I'll say. And so my reflection, am I going into my spiel here? Okay.
Take it. That's exactly where I want you to go.
Right. Yes, let's go. Okay. If you were to go on Facebook or Instagram right now, how many ads are you going to see before you can get to a friend? Okay. Now, the difference is where I do respect Google is the fact that it's all about how you search and the words that you're searching for. And I think that the future of next year, because social media advertising has been such a low, it's been a low entry point. But the problem is you can't always track all the conversion rates. You can't always track everything. There's so many things that go into it. Whereas with Google, if you could create a link and then here's the call to action, and you could do it both for awareness campaigns or conversion campaigns, there's just more opportunities there. So the first thing I would say, and now granted, it is an investment. So if you're not ready to invest in your business, totally cool. Get it. Use what Pik is saying, use what Michelle is saying. But if you have that and you think about the ROI on ads, if you're saying, I'm going to charge, I'm going to have a click-through rate of X and it's going to cost me Y and my product is Z, if it makes sense, do it. Because I don't think social is where it's at anymore, because my second point will be small communities. And I think, Portia, you've nailed this in the way that you've done your business. Small, people know exactly where they're getting get here. There's a vibe. Trying to be like someone else, and Pik said this, Michelle said this, we have to differentiate ourselves. The more niche we can get with who we serve and how we serve them, that I think small communities are the future of what's coming. Because social media is changing. And now I think platforms like Circle, Kajabi, all those things, I'm going to wonder what happens in the next few years. Because we're getting smarter. And this is why I was trying not to talk about AI. But I think we're getting smarter. We can build really cost-effective communities on our own without having to spend $400 a month. But if we could get the right language, the graphics, and the media, I'm telling you, like that, I think is the future, because the millennials, the Gen X, like they want to know about causes. And that's my last point, is that the more you can align with causes, with collaborations, supporting people who care about things that you care about, whether it be environments, humanity, animals, earth, like it's just people want to know you stand for something bigger than yourself.
Yep.
And it's not like you can have the market. I think if you put marketing dollars behind it and you hire the right team and then you align with a cause, it's a no-brainer. And especially if you actually have a cause for yourself, I'm going to put this out there. Most nonprofits don't know there's a Google Ads grant up for grabs for $10,000 a month where you can help for your cause. It's a rigorous process that is very difficult to get through, but once you get it, you can think about if you had $10,000 free from Google because you have a nonprofit driving toward your cause, how much good could you create? And then guess what? If you're a for-profit business and you align with that nonprofit business, what could happen? Collabs are the future.
Now that is a hill I can die on. Like I could stake a flag in like 1 foot coming out of it, particularly like, in the same way that I feel like the future of employment is that you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset, but understand a corporate reality so that you can leverage both. That is the future of employment. I also feel like the future of business is that the government just showed us that they were going to pull the fucking plug on nonprofits and the things that actually are necessary for humans to human in this world. Who do you think is picking it up? It's going to be us. It's going to be the entrepreneurs. It's going to be the business owners. It's going to be the communities, and the people who don't. Your silence is louder than anything else. And when you are when your company looks like all you care about is the money and you don't speak to the causes that actually matter to you or your people, you will get left behind. That is the future of Gen Z business. That is the future of millennial business. That is the future of Gen Alpha business. Hands down and period. I think that there's something so unique in our position also as business owners to be the lead in helping our communities be reflective of the places that we want to live. We have a responsibility as well. And like Nicole just beautifully laid out for you, you could find a win-win. It's not like you just have to, the days of giving $5 to Habitat for Humanity and calling it a day are done. What would it look like for you to partner with somebody that brought revenue into your business and also shifted the world in the way that you wanted it to look? That is available when we really start to think about that. And I also think that there's something so interesting about it when we start to talk about SEO, right? When we start to talk about you think about partnering with your local United Way. Think about how much SEO them people have versus how much SEO you have and how much you'll be able to borrow influence just by being in partnership to do real good. The win-wins are so there. I don't think so many of us think about it.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And I think you actually picked up on a point. Like our alpha generation that's coming up, we don't know much about them, but they're going to fuck shit up. Like legit. Because they're digital and they're creative and they're sensitive and they're adaptive. Like, what are we going to do with that?
And they're spiritual. Like, they're connected like the cats.
I got one. I got a son. He's right there. I'm like, he's crying 1 second, sending out flyers the next second for the homeless awareness campaign. And then the next second, he's like beating people with a hockey stick. I'm like, this is very weird, but that's the future.
But it's the future. But it is absolutely the future. I know that's definitely what's sparking for me in this conversation. Michelle, I'll actually throw to you. Anything that's sparking for you out of what Nicole said?
Well, no, I mean, just what you guys were talking about, like cause-based marketing as well. Like I have nonprofit clients. I love my nonprofit clients. One of them sadly did not get, because of everything that's happening, for the first time ever, their research grant was cut. And so they have now developed this whole offshoot program to privately fund their own research. And it's not, it's not as, and I say this from a marketing brain standpoint, it's not as sexy as kids with cancer that or St. Jude's or something like that. It's for neurofibromatosis. And I love this organization, and it's very, very misunderstood. But the fact that, they're so close to getting treatments and hopefully a cure one day, that they have to now fundraise in different capacities, but also like the people that are sponsors to his organization, I will always go for. Like, I will go hard for people who sponsor and support what I believe in. And I think, that it goes back to the humanization aspect that we were talking about, and relationships. It's like when people have that, it gives them, it's all marketing on the back end, on our end, but the average person doesn't get it, right? So they're just like, this person like sponsors this, I'm going to support that, and so it's having those conversations. Also, like, whenever I talk about this, I'm like, don't ever sponsor something that you're disingenuous about. I'm like, because as much as people can figure out what it's AI, people can figure out when you're being fake.
Yep.
So, and that goes back into the relationships too. There's a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see people called out for, for not being genuine. Yeah. It's interesting times. But also, I love what you said, Nicole, about business cousins. Have to 100% agree with that too. Like, and everyone who's in it who is an expert in their field, we're not expecting you to come with, like the most brilliant thought on a PR plan. We're asking you, like, it goes to the whole, like, there's no stupid questions. That is what all of us are here for. And I have learned so much from the other business cousins in this group, for sure. So I wholeheartedly appreciate what you were talking about.
Again, I love, leave it to the marketing people to make sure you let these people know. My favorite ever. Appreciate y'all. Get you a village. They're just gonna make sure that the thing happens.
We're just shouting out finance when it's their turn.
Tell us to do that, but it's all like, oh yeah, we're doing that.
My favorite. Again, this is how I love y'all for real. But I did so much to that point. It's like the authenticity is there. And I think that there's something, as we're talking about marketing, there can be in this conversation of having to fabricate everything. Sometimes genuine connection doesn't need to be fabricated. Sometimes genuine expertise doesn't need to be fabricated. You could just share how excited you are, how happy you are, how much you know about something, how fun it is to nerd out about it, and speak directly to that lens, and this kind of thing surround you. Because again, I promise you, I'm not paying people to say nothing. I just am here. I mean, that's Skip for you, Pick, as well. Anything that's sparking for you in this conversation, Pick?
It's exactly right. Nicole talk about collaboration, partnership. And it's like exactly how we need to, this is how we become more human, right? And then Michelle said that, right? You need to be authentic, build relationship. That's exactly what to be more human. And exactly to point, that's how we kind of go ahead with AI, right? People are scared of it. And this is kind of the secret weapon we should have. And we already have been doing this, right? And I think it's like the digital world, like, and the pandemic got and said, okay, everything can be online. But now I think the reality hit is that we probably just need to go back to how things used to be run. Right? We build relationship with people, we collaborate, we partnership. That's how we run business, right? I think just it has a comfort to see that, oh, it's nothing new and scary. You just need to be real and get back to what people used to do. Yeah.
Yeah. The humaning is never going out of style.
It's like little tweaks, just little tweaks.
And I really do think that That's the reality of business. We can call it the future of business. Like, that's my thoughts on this, right? Like, we can call that the future of business, but that's actually the reality of good business. I, don't always look to wealthy white men as my rubric for life. But if we think about business in general and how it's been done in large amounts of wealth, in all types of communities, in indigenous communities, in small communities, in large communities, it comes down to everyone understanding the role that they have and playing well together. And I think that when I think about in 2026, the things that are loud for me when it comes to marketing, it is that idea. Network is key and collaboration is key. Get you some friends on a call that's going to talk about your stuff more than you talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, there's some of us who are meant to be seen and are going to spend their life doing the work to be seen. If you're not those people, how do you be in partnership with those people so they talk about your stuff like they talk about their own stuff, right? Like, there's a lane there where you don't have to own every single role. You can collaborate. And I think that also, everybody wants a village, but nobody wants to be a villager. Get good at how to be in collaboration with others. Get good at thinking through what collaboration can look like from a marketing effort. One of the things, I don't know who it was that I was doing, maybe Ilona, we were like brain, thoughting. I was like a good brain sex. We were like going over kind of thinking about the trajectory of like the Marie Forleos and the Gabby Bernsteins and the Selena Sues and all of these people who came around that lane. And one of the things that Ilona illuminated for me was like, oh yeah, because they all used to market each other's stuff. If you were in, a Tony Robbins situation, he would talk about this person who would talk about Gabby, that would talk about Selena. And so in and of itself, we talk about these giants and how did they become megaliths? They didn't do it alone. They did it together. And again, I ain't saying we duplicate that because there's lots wrong with that conversation. But I think that the collaboration portion is what there is. And it's what companies have always done since time immemorial. They've been in great relationship with their communities and they've been in great relationships with their partners. So I feel like this is a great year to find your collaborators, to discover who has an audience around the audience that you have, that you enjoy being in conversation with, and utilizing your resources. If somebody in your crew has amazing SEO, what can we do to be able to leverage that? If somebody in your crew has the money to run the ads, how can we collaborate on a group workshop so that they can run the ads part and you can do the delivery part? How can we be in better community and in better relationship with one another was something very, very loud to me. And the other one, a couple other things that were really loud to me was around radical authenticity. This is probably fourth podcast this week, and almost everyone has had something to say about be yourself louder this year. Be yourself louder in this decade. And from a marketing perspective, marketing is a lighthouse that is going to draw people to you and push people away from you. If you're being somebody that you're not, don't be surprised when it's incongruent who comes. If you're not spending enough time knowing who you are so radically that you can tell the world that these are the people who you want and these are the folks that aren't, don't be surprised when you get a general answer or you get things in the net that you didn't cast for, because we don't really know you. And I think this year is a year, particularly in your marketing, I want people to say riskier shit. So we're sitting on, Clarinda Tivoli, she was coming on the podcast and we were having a conversation. She was like, people should stop code switching. Like, start telling us who you are. Use your accent. We want to hear it. Like, speak to the community that you want to be in and do the dog whistles. Say the weird thing that only they know and they hear, right? You don't necessarily have to do it on your website, right? So that your SEO and your GEO are picking those things up, but do it in your content. Do it in your email newsletter. Let people know who you are so they can fall in love with you. So many of us are so guarded because of our fear of visibility that you keep people from falling in love with you. Truly, because you're not yet ready to authentically be you. We need more of you in 2026. That's what's going to stand out from the algorithms. That's what's going to stand out from the AI. That's what's also going to be a lighthouse to your community members to go, oh, I fucks with her. Yup. Love how messy her background is. Love that she can't figure out a Zoom. I can't figure out a Zoom. Girl, let's figure out a Zoom together, right? Like, these are the human things that I feel like we're craving. We're drooling for it because our world is so digitized and it's starting to become sterile because digitization creates this, I'm about to use a word that I don't even know what it means, hegemony? It creates this space where everything looks exactly the same so you can't tell what's real. And if real is who you are, I need there to be more of it, more real, louder, easier to be able to find you out in a crowd. Don't be afraid to say the thing that makes you stand out, because I think in this next year it's going to be necessary. And we're looking for people to tell the whole fucking truth. Hey, this is how much money I made in my business, but this is how I did it. I cried last week, and that was what was so, because everyone's crying, right? Like the idea that you're somehow the perfect gurus are dying in 26. All I'm saying. So you say what you want to say, call me a prophetess. You come back to this podcast and tell me I told you, because I promise you by 2027, to Michelle's point, you're going to be seeing gurus on the barbecue. People are going to be getting called more than they ever have for attempting to create a persona that is not authentic to who they actually are. So now, right now, entrepreneur leader that is hearing this right now, how can you be more radically yourself out loud? Because we know you're radically yourself with you and the homies. How does it look online? And I'm speaking to my own self. I have my own real work to do in this area also, because I've been the best kept secret forever. And if you're like me and you've been the best kept secret because you've had your head down and you've been doing the work because you give a shit about the work, I get it. And you'll run out of people to help if they don't know you exist. We have to do this work too. Last thing I will say is generally this is a year for simplicity and focus. I, again, bringing in this conversation that I was having with Ilona and Kira earlier this week around the Tao of poo. They were talking about this insane book where it's literally like Taoist principles told through the lens of Winnie the Pooh. And one of the things that they were talking about was Pooh always knows that the way knows the way. So go where I'm going to get the honey regardless. My thing is for you this year, go where the honey is at. What's worked? What's working really well? How can you cut the fat of what's not working and really dial in on 2 to 3 strategies? Truthfully, can you really go all in on a couple of things that don't take as much time, but can give you more saturation? Less general, more saturated. Do less production, less over marketing. I don't need to see you on every single platform unless you're running ads. I don't need to see you on every single, testing every different type of AI content, using every single, like this idea that more is better. This is going to be a year where we want less. We want it authentic. We want it real, and we want it frequently. So the more saturation you can have in that reality and in that pocket, I feel like is a big deal for marketing as we move forward in this next year. And honestly, in this next decade, people want to feel moved. They want their spirits to be moved. And there is no AI really struggles to do that. Generalization really struggles to do that. But you pretending to be somebody that makes more money than you because you think that that's what it is going to make you struggle to do that. Be you with relentlessness, literally, and do less. I think that sometimes we get our kink from being the person who suffered the most. And as entrepreneurs, right? Like we get our rocks off by being the person that's the most exhausted. You're not going to get an award for doing the most things in one year. The only award that you're going to get is money in the bank from doing the things that work and doing more of them. So spending some time in this winter, really spending some time in the first half of the year, thinking about what's working, and then go all in on a couple of things and let them try. I really do think that's super duper loud for me. But that is the thing that I am thinking of. Opening up the floor to reflections. Nicole, actually, I'll go to you first. Reflections and closing us out.
Gosh. Well, this is an honor, and you just kind of like totally sparked my brain. I was like taking some notes. It's like, I think between the 4 of us today, like I just wrote it down. I was like, holy shit, this is it. It's like, how do you feel? How do you look? How do they know about you? And then help them know about you. Like,
drop the mic.
That's it. And just be real. That's all.
Be real and don't be fake about it. Love. Michelle, popping to you. Last reflections and tying it down.
Goodness, I don't even know how to follow that, because sometimes I feel like you're like I'm at a church with a sermon in a very, very, very good way. Very good way. But I mean, let's be you. Like, people are tired of the fake ass bullshit. Fact of the matter. And also, don't make yourself a martyr for your business. You have all of these opportunities to collaborate with other people who have great lanes, and they're I always say, my PR lane is manicured. I go 85. Like, don't be coming into my lane going 55. Like, that doesn't work. But like, all of us are like that in so many different ways. And I think that, you know, like, you do not have the bandwidth to do everything. And that goes like don't be a martyr. Like, you have intelligent people around you, utilize them. Hire an expert to Pik's points. Yeah, please edit that out. But no, I mean, like, we have all these experts at our disposal. Like, come find us. We're not hidden in any way, shape, or form. Or if you have the resources, hire someone. That's like, people will figure you out. And even if they give you a second chance to fix it, which oftentimes they won't, they'll always remember. So, we gotta make the first impression, and we gotta make one that lasts and is meaningful.
Those relationships, again, never doesn't pay off. Never doesn't pay off. Pik, last reflections from you and tying us down.
Oh my God. I'm just grateful to be here among you guys and find this community, right? I think I hope other people do the same next year, find their own community, find the relationship that they deserve to be in, and do less, be you. It's on point. I think that's what I'm trying to do. And I think everyone should really try to do that. Do less, meaning like be more focused. Find experts to help you do the things that they are good at so you can focus on what you're good at, right? And then be you is be more authentic, connect with others. Like me, I'm so lucky you find me. And I really wish, I'm like such an introvert. I'm counting on other people to find me. And I'm just really grateful to be here. And I wish everyone could find their own community. It doesn't need to be big. Yeah. And that's enough. That's enough for us. Yeah.
I love. I hope you heard something. For those of you who are listening, that sparked something, that inspired something in you. And I hope that you heard that you got help. You ain't got to be in our community, but we are available. We are available to you, and we know what it's like to stand where you're standing. We know what it's like to stand where you're standing, and we know, what it looks like to be able to wrap our arms around certain things. And I think that I want for everybody on this call, to Pik's point, to find that for you. Who are your people, and where can you lean in? Because this conversation, it's important, and it's going to be extra important as we come into the next couple of years. Thank you so much, Michelle, Nicole, and Pik. Thank you all for being my marketing support squad.
Thank you.
Again, it's been a blessing being with you over this last year. Thank you for helping and holding our people so well as well. And thank you to those of you all who are listening. Thank you to Portia for holding us in this container. And for those of you all who are listening, we will see you in our next Area of Business State of 2026 podcast. See you next time. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen and consider what was shared today. Thanks to our guests for sharing. Thank you to Portia for holding us in this container. And thank you for listening. We hope that something that was shared today sparks a new idea, inspires a new action, or creates something that you're excited to share with your community.
And thanks to Portia for leading this wonderful conversation and for bringing the vibe. Make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and hit us up on LinkedIn or Instagram. We want to hear what this sparks for you. So do us a favor, drop a review or leave a comment with what you thought.
All right, friends, we will see you next time on the Osumaré Learning Podcast. I'm already looking forward to it.
Me too.